So last time on the podcast that you were not a part of, much to my chagrin, I spoke about, we in spirit, you were here in spirit, your heat filling up the room, talking about, the Nintendo Switch has been a big success so far. I mean, you couldn't have asked for obviously you can't extrapolate it out like some silly people like, oh, it's going to do as good as the Wii or better. You don't fucking know that. First of all, but
you're pulling some weak taffy there. Yeah. But it's been a good launch.
It has been an excellent launch
for a system that had no launch. It's been an amazing launch
for a system that's a glorified open beta with about 3 games that are probably worth playing so far. It's been very interesting that to sell 2 million in March, when March is not a traditional let's come out with a new video game console sort of launch window. But we saw the marketing was there. When I saw a Super Bowl ad, I'm like, okay, Nintendo's taking this seriously. They're resting on their laurels a bit with the Wii U, I think. When they're like, the Wii sold a ton. We don't have to spend any marketing dollars, right? Because that works. And it didn't. It fell flat in his face. So going back to my hour rant about the Switch and where I think it's going to be, I still maintain my range of 25 to 35. Maybe I can bump up to 40 million. I think it's going to do lifetime. But it's definitely going to do all right. So in light of the demand and the fact that people are still swearing to get this, according to a Wall Street Journal article, Nintendo is planning on doubling their production.
Yeah, from 8 to 16 million, hopefully to move 16 million in a year, which I think might
less
be
than a year.
Less than a year, which I think, I think they were saying from March to March, I think was what the production run was going to be.
Oh, that's how they're looking, you're right.
Yeah, they're looking to do 6...
Oh, that's right, because their financial year is end in March.
March to March, they want to do 16 mil, which I think is a little over enthusiastic, but even if they hit 10, they would come close to matching PS4's first year sales, and they would already beat the Wii U.
Isn't that kind of weird to say that?
So let's say, even if I take a very conservative approach on what they hope to sell and say that they're only going to move 10 of those 16 mil, they're already way ahead of their game.
But even if they only move original, goal of 8. That's still gangbusters, especially in light of the fact that, by the time we get to the fall and winter, yes, there'll be more games out, but you're only going to have still probably a handful of must-own games that are going to be out in the system.
I still stand by kind of what I said the last podcast I was on, where I wish Nintendo well. I want to Switch.
It's like you fired them. Wish you well.
No, I mean, I really hope it works out. I want to Switch. I'm not incredibly. I didn't find the launch incredibly exciting, but it is something that I would like to get before Christmas, because I do think that if people are still thinking about and actively looking at the Switch at Christmas time, where everyone is saying, well, that's going to be the true launch. If that's their true launch, I think you could see it move incredibly quickly. And that's where they could get close to hitting that actual number of produced to sold units that they want.
I think they're going to have to. They're pulling. They pulled sort of much to their chagrin, a switcheroo on the public, thinking that to a lot of the general public, this is the first new Nintendo console they've seen in 10 years, at least, if not longer.
Were you and I discussing this, or did I have a very eerily similar conversation about this with someone else, where to a lot of people, I think it was with someone else, where this is psychologically the first new Nintendo console since the Wii.
Or even going back further, because even the Wii, while it was advertised decently, they didn't have a Super Bowl ad for the Wii. They didn't have
I don't think that changes anything, just because it was a household name and sold 100 million units.
Sure, but I think that was more of a word of mouth, organic sort of sweep. You didn't have YouTube back then, or you did, but you didn't have it to sort of push it. It wasn't YouTube in 2006 wasn't huge. You didn't have YouTubers to push it. I think that was just more of a general word of mouth sort of grassroots. Nintendo couldn't have imagined it was going to do 100 million on the Wii after the GameCube was a disappointment. It was profitable, but it was a disappointment still.
Mm-hmm.
So some people might be, maybe they had an N64 when they were 20 years old in college, 18, and now they're 40 and they have kids, and wow, the Switch is out. It's a possibility. But all this comes together to benefit. The success of the Switch to this extent would have been possible without the failure of the Wii U, which is weird to say, but it is. The Wii U, they're almost there with the tablet, But the tablet was almost it was a secondary sort of benefit to having a home console where you can go to your bathroom and if the signal's strong enough you can poop while playing Mario Kart 8. But they sort of then
You had to basically have your TV in the shitter to be able to do that.
but they figured out the opposite. I remember some people tweeting at, I think, Andre. He's like, well, someone said, well, what's the difference between the Switch and the Wii U? And Andre's like, well, you can't take your Wii U on a plane. That's the difference. That's a huge difference. And with announcements of Rocket League being a possibility to come to the Switch, that's huge. A game like that, the fact that it's portable.
Yeah.
And it still has... Yes, it's not as powerful as a PS4 and
You
Xbox
don't need
One,
something powerful necessarily for
but
Rocket League.
good enough to put something like that. Good enough, more importantly, to play a killer app like Breath of the Wild. So while you said you're not interested in getting one away right away, I am, because if I'm taking a long flight, 5-hour flight, even if it only lasts 3 hours to play Breath of the Wild, that's 3 hours of playing a console quote-unquote game.
Sooner than later. There are things that I want to play on there. It's whether I can justify it. But anyways,
Yeah.
I didn't need to have one, is what I was getting at.
And plus, I have my USB charger, and that'll work on the Switch too. So you can get some extra juice out of it as well. So this is like I said, this is good news. We're not there yet, but obviously, a third party like what is it, Psygnosis does Rocket League. Is that the name? Psygnosis?
Psygnosis isn't around anymore. They haven't been around in like a decade.
Where did I pull that name out of?
They turned into Sony London, I believe, and then Sony London got shuttered.
Oh, Psyonix. Okay, I was close. I was in the ballpark. I was thinking of an old computer company from 25 years ago, basically.
Psygnosis got bought up by Sony and then shuttered.
So, but this is good though for also it's going to be a feedback loop where Switch does well, you get more third parties. You get more people buying the Switch or taking a shot in it. Lather, rinse, repeat. I got lost in your painful eyes there for a second.
Dan Rather, cheese blunts, repeat.
So I will pick this up. It's going to get restocked at Best Buy, and then it's going to be restocked at Amazon as well soon. Toys R Us has got to restock, and they're going to be pumping these out. But another good thing that happened was they figured out the whole Joy-Con situation.
I saw that. That was good. And it looks like you could probably do it on your own if you had conductive foam laying around.
So what it was is I guess what it made sense being that it wasn't a large amount of people who had the problem. It was a smaller amount overall. But I'm guessing there was some part of the assembly line for some of these where they didn't put that protective foam inside to cut down.
It was never there. Yeah,
it wasn't in any of them?
No, from what I understand, it wasn't in any of them. It was two manufacturing lines, I believe, were putting them, because it said there was two factories, and one of the lines was putting them together improperly or something like that. Because I don't think any of them actually, if you put them side by side, it was saying have the foam in them, but one of them has a slightly different circuit board, so one of them must have been causing interference somewhere and the other one wasn't. So that foam was all that was. It's a conductive foam. They put a little block over the
two different runs of circuit boards were
basically,
and one was causing more interference.
And Nintendo said they've already fixed it. So basically, with them being sold out everywhere, anything new that you pick up off the shelf now should be good to go. And
so you think they caught that internally before they even got out, or
I don't know. I'm saying anything that you get now off the shelf should be fine. And I know a lot of people who have them who don't have the issue. And if you do, Nintendo is doing free, repair on the L Joy-Con. And from what I've heard, the turnaround time is like 5 days
to get it back. Well, this is Nintendo's statement. There is no design issue with the Joy-Con controllers, and no widespread proactive repair or replacement effort is underway. A manufacturing variation has resulted in wireless interference with a small number of the left Joy-Con. It's hard to quantify the percentage. It really is. 10%, 20, who knows?
Every problem sounds big on the internet.
Sure. People are like, whoa, this mine has dead pixels. Come on, it's an LCD screen, and they made 2 million of them. Some are going to have dead pixels. That's just the way manufacturing works. Anyway, moving forward, this will not be an issue. So they probably caught that themselves, because the ones off the shelf today were shipped out, at least a month ago. Mm-hmm. You need some... some head time, lead time. We have determined a simple fix can be made to any affected Joy-Con to improve connectivity. Do not put near an aquarium. No, they didn't say that. Well, they did say that at first. There are other reasons consumers may be experiencing wireless interference. We are asking consumers to contact their customer support team so we can help them determine if a repair is necessary. Great. If it is, consumers to send their controller directly to Nintendo for the adjustment free of charge, with an anticipated quick return of less than a week. Repair timing may vary by region. For any help, contact support.nintendo.com. Unfortunately, you'll probably have to walk through someone on a line saying, have you tried this? Have you tried that? Before you get to the point where, okay, it's screwed up, send it in. But most likely if you're calling, it's probably screwed up. All right, Ian, so you're going to try to get one at some point?
I would like to, yes. If they're going to restock like this week, I'll probably try to check.
Do you care about gray versus blue red?
I mean, I would like the more colorful
Blue
one.
and red, Ian.
Yeah.
Blue and red.
Yeah.